Hello guys, welcome back on board. It's me, I'm back hosting the BLETHER this weekend. I'm joined by another dynamic duo this week. Last week it was Pam and Mick, and this week it is the Oracle, Phil McGinley, and your good old Uncle Terry. How are you doing, boys? You alright?
Smash. Getting there. I've had the latest strain of COVID this week, so just starting to leave my system now. So it's been a rough sail for a couple of days, but on the road to recovery.
That's good, mate. How was your son's football today? I know you were at that. How'd they go on?
I was away at football this morning. My youngest lad had a competition, so his team won. They haven't really stopped. Their season finished at the end of April, but they've just been going to these tournaments every couple of weeks, and they've won the last 3 of them. So they're doing really well. It's just really good. It's amazing going and watching kids playing, and not just your own kids, but when you go out on a Saturday morning and there's just so many kids playing the game of football, and it's not like it was when I was young. There's as many girls playing as there are lads, and it's now a family day out. I mean, I remember playing as a kid, and the coach came and lifted you in his van, and everybody piled into the back. And nowadays, it's a family day out. The parents bring the kids, and the parents stay, and the parents watch the games, and it's very, very enjoyable.
That's good to hear, mate. Is it quite similar in Northern Ireland? Obviously, over here, I feel that the local council and authorities, Phil will know this as well. They're very content to kind of just kibosh any young players kind of try to come out from children. You know, you can't go and kick a ball about the street anymore. You can't practice anywhere. You have to shell out money for 5-a-side pitches. And look, it's no exactly cheap. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be playing 5s this week with boys who work, and there's about 12 to 16 years going, and it's $5.50 a head for a couple of years and that. And you know, we're adults with grown up money. For children, it's damn near impossible. It's the same in Ireland.
It's not bad. I mean, I think the kids are lucky nowadays with all of the facilities that they've got. And I know artificial pitches, we don't want them in the SPL, but they do serve a really good purpose, because they mean that you can guarantee training to be on even when the weather's bad. And we're very similar to you guys over here, and the weather's usually very bad, and it just means that you know that the training's on. To be fair, in where I live, in the town where I live, there's a council artificial pitch, and it's not expensive. It's really, really cheap for people to use, and there still are grass areas where you can go and you can play. I mean, you don't see kids playing in the street, as in right in the middle of the road, like you probably did whenever I was young. You just set up your goalposts where you put the jumpers wherever you want it. You didn't care if there were cars or balls were going into people's gardens and things like that. And you don't really see that anymore. But the other side of that is that there are a lot more facilities provided, usually with some level of cost. But I have to say now, where I live, the council facilities they're very, very cheap. They would be accessible to most families.
Well, it'll make a big difference to hear. But anyway, before we get stuck into the topics of today, not that there's many, unsurprisingly, with Celtic being in transfer business, there ain't much to talk about, boys. I'm sorry. It'll be quite a droll conversation today, as Celtic are one to just give us absolutely nothing. So before we do that, I want to let everybody know that you can like, share, subscribe, share the bus far and wide, slag my baldy head, slag Terry, do whatever you want to do. We just need some, interaction. All of it's good, all of it's positive, all of it's happy, even if you don't necessarily like us. All traction is good for the channel. You can also become a Boise Bus member for the low fee of $1.99 a month. So it's totally optional. You don't have to do it. It just helps me and the boys out on the bus, and helps us, keep the bus rolling along the road, wheels squeaky, keep going along. And you can also use the code BUS1888 on piesports.com if you want to get some tasty pastry treats while you're in watching the Euros. Probably more people for other countries want to do that as opposed to the Scottish fans, because we don't exactly have much to celebrate. There'll be no Don or Donny pies getting shared among households in Scotland for at least until England get put out eventually. So, but we'll keep that bus rolling along as well. So, a couple of wee topics today, guys. Most of it I'm not gonna lie, he ain't much. I'm really scraping the bottom of the proverbial barrel here in terms of stuff because it's not great. So Phil, big man, I'm going to start with you.
Yep.
You may have seen this, you may have not. Celtic are linked with one Pontus Dahbo, 18 years old Swedish player playing in. I don't want to pronounce the Swedish league's name, but
Yep.
he's attacking midfielder for FC Haken. Last season, he racked up a whopping 12 league appearances and 1 assist. He has 3 appearances in the Cup, 2 goals. He had 5 Europa League appearances. He's valued at around about, this is, just going off the article says, £3.4 million of valuation. Celtic are apparently monitoring his situation, so no rumours of talks or really concrete interest. Even if there were articles out there saying we're concrete interest going in for this player, you'd probably have something coming at half an hour later saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm a Turkish Swedish journalist. This ain't happening. By the way, Celtic are doing nothing." So, mate, what is I'm going to just ask you right off the bat, if this is the kind of avenue we're going down, hey, what does that scream to you, mate? 18-year-old Swedish player playing for FC Haken. Granted, he's one of Sweden's up-and-coming superstars, but like saying that, so was one Odin Thiago Holm, and he didn't exactly amount to much last season, did he?
No, definitely not. It smacks of a project player. Those words that we love around here so much. So project player. Yeah, initially when I heard the name, and then when people, a few other shows, and obviously yourself, you've just read out his bio, his description, and 18-year-old. I mean, obviously, if he is good enough, it doesn't really matter about age. But given our track record in recent years, signing players of that profile, it doesn't really scream much that's going to improve what we need right now. So to me, it's this par for the course at the moment with Celtic and transfers. It really doesn't surprise me, that one, if that is the type of stuff we're looking at. And Odin Thiago Holm is a fantastic comparison. It is one of the first ones to keep in my mind. Just file it under that. This time last year when we signed him, there was a bit of buzz, bit of excitement that, he could turn into something good, but didn't get much game time. Is this boy going to get much game time if he signed for Celtic? I wouldn't bet on it at the moment, Conor.
Terry, mate, obviously this boy's coming in. Well, not coming in, sorry. This boy's been linked, saying he's an attacking midfielder. Is this who Celtic are seriously possibly considering to replace Matt O'Reilly, or is this just casting the fishing rod out there, seeing if they can get a couple of bites because they're attaching Celtic's name to the article, to the story, saying he's being monitored, or if there is any like single grains of truth in this story, which I kind of. The weird thing is about this is I can kind of see, yes, there'll be an serious interest in Celtic because it fits their bill. Cheap, under the age of like 22, project kind of player, somebody for the future they can potentially capitalise on. But I can also just see it being an absolute heap of rubbish as well, mate. So do you think that this, there's anything in this at all, or is it just a lot of shite?
At the minute, it's just another name, and the names come and go on a daily basis, as you know, at this time of the season. I mean, if there's an up-and-coming young player from any country in the world and we're in the hunt to try and sign him, then I'm totally fine with that. What I'm looking at this window, if we think back to last summer, I felt we started last season 2.5 players down on our first 11 from the season before. So Starfelt, as much as I criticised him, his level and his level of partnership with Carter Vickers was better than anything that we had last season. So when he went, we didn't replace him with a better player. We also didn't replace Jota with a better player under no circumstances. So that was 2 first-team players down on the previous season. And the reason I say half, Aaron Moy, for half of a season, or a few months anyway, was a first-team player, and he went. And you could probably argue we replaced him with Bernardo, who for roughly around the same period looked a bit of a decent player as well. But our team last year was not at the level of our team the year before. So fast forward that to this summer, at the minute, we're probably something similar. We're probably 2.5 players down at the minute on our team from the season that's just finished. Our undisputed number one goalkeeper, centre forward, Probably still number 2, but probably the best number 2 that we've had to Kyogo since Kyogo joined, and certainly not a bit player either. And then you've got Bernardo, who was in and out, looked good for part of the season, looked ordinary for the other part. But so we're probably around about 2.5 players down on last season's team before we've even come back into pre-season training. I'm looking at this window in terms of probably about 5 checkpoints. So the first one is when the players come back for pre-season. We've already hit that one. We don't have any new players in. The next one will be the first friendly, which is Friday night. The next one will be when we jet off to America. Probably the next main one after that is going to be when we start our league campaign. And the final checkpoint is when the window slams shut on deadline day. So I'm not too bothered that we've missed the first one and we don't have anybody in. Probably won't be too bothered if we don't have any new players in by next Friday. But if we're heading off to America and we don't have anybody new in, that's probably when the alarm bells will start ringing for me, because you need to get players in, you need to get them embedded into the squad, you need them to get embedded into the culture that the manager, the captain, the coaching staff, the players all buy into. And those pre-season trips are as much about that as they are about fitness, as they are about making money from glamour ties and getting your ass handed to you by Chelsea or Man City or whatever. But we probably won't, because we generally don't. But if you're then that squad that goes away from America or to America, say you've got 2 or 3, 4 key new players coming in, you want them on that trip, because that is when they will start to get to know their teammates. That's when they will start to form friendships and bonds. If you come back from that and you're then in the last part of pre-season and you're starting to bring players in from here, there, and everywhere, it becomes a lot more difficult, and you're starting the season without any real cohesion between the players that were there previously and the ones that you've brought in. So to bring that to a head, I'm not too bothered right now. I'm not panicking right now. I'd really would have liked us to have had a keeper, and I really hope that we've done the legwork on this, because we've known this not just from when Hart handed in his notice. We would have known at the start of the season that he wasn't going to be playing the next season. So we've known about this. I would like the goalkeeper in sooner rather than later, because that position is one where we don't have anybody else to play. We don't have anybody else that I would even want to be playing in the friendlies, never mind going into the league season. At least every other position, we've got other players who could slot in. If we're waiting on a key target and we want to give it a few weeks and see if we can get the number 1 target before moving on, then fine. But goalkeeper, there's a massive gaping hole there, and that hole needs to be filled, and that hole should be filled, and we should have had that hole filled at some point over the last couple of months, just waiting for possibly the international deadline on Monday to come around, and then we bring him in. But the keeper has to be the important one. He needs to be in there. If there isn't a new goalkeeper before we hit America, then there's a problem, because what are we waiting for?
Yeah, that's if you've been paying attention to me in the carpool, or me and doing other blethers and that, it's I didn't even go and get this cut, man. All the tiny wee freckles I've had in my head, the tiny wee hair follicles that I had left, they've all just fell out the past couple of weeks, because I'm so up to here about the fact that Celtic have absolutely signed no one. So Phil, mate, it's kind of like embarrassing. Celtic being obviously the richest club, most successful club, biggest club in the league. Yeah, every other single team have made signings bar us. Rangers made at least 3, I think. Hearts have made about 5 or 6. Hibs have made about 3.
Are you panicking about those, though, Conor?
No. But see, right, I'm not panicking. But the thing is, I'm saying is they're getting business done. Whether it's good business or whether it's bad business remains to be seen. At least it's getting done. There's a boy there at Lennon Miller at Motherwell who we could go and buy like that tomorrow. yet there's been no news about it, nothing. He's a player that everybody, at least in the chats, everybody online, on Twitter, has been saying that boy has some serious potential. He counts for, being part of the domestic setup as well. He fits that quota. Who, would come in and he would develop at Celtic. He could be a good player. Christ, he was handing us our arses in that game we played. We played against them. And he scored a goal?
He set up Blair Spittle to score, but it was a great setup as well. Did he pirouette in the ball? No, yeah.
So, look, Phil, mate. Even Livingston, who are absolutely fucking skint, they haven't got two coppers that are up together, are in a division below us, have made a signing. I seen they made a signing the other day, and I'm like, that is just so typical of Celtic. Now, I was saying in the thing we did last week, mate, don't quote me, the international window technically opens on Monday. All these other teams are signing players, mate. There's no rhyme or reason as to why Celtic are just sitting on their hands. The only reason is because they've got Peter Lawwell in charge, and to me, that's it. What would you think, mate?
Yeah, the obviously, Terry said there about panicking about it. I'm not panicking about them doing business and whatnot, but the thing is with Celtic and them taking their times, it seems that would be okay if the track record, was good, was a shining track record. But as we've shown in recent years, when it comes to signings, they are a bit of a risk. Not every signing seems to come to fruition in this strategy. So at the moment, I'm a bit in purgatory right now with how I feel about the transfer window, because there is an element I do look at what's going on at other clubs, and again, I'm just like, whatever. Am I worried that Rangers have signed? Is it Conor? Bannon, whatever his name is. Yeah. And the Aberdeen team was muck last season. So again, I'm like, does that worry me? No. But you're right.
They also signed statistically the worst goalkeeper in the league as well. So
they did sign him too. So there is an element where you do see it and you're instantly thinking, well, we need to get business done. And you're right in what you're saying. They at least identify what they need to some capacity and go out and get it. And yeah, I'd be okay if Celtic were waiting for the right player to come along. But I say the track record in recent years doesn't quite correlate with that, because, again, looking back at last summer, how many of the signings from last summer were even in the first team come the end of the season? It kind of shows. So the goalkeeper is so huge, though. Terry pointed out that it's glaringly obvious. That one is ridiculous that there isn't even anything yet. There's been a few names flying around. The merry-go-round going, and Dubravka, Casteels at the start of the window. So we've had even, I don't know, Angus Gunn's names came up time to time. I don't know if I would maybe follow that. Now, I know I said at the time I would have been quite happy with that. Obviously, the Euros didn't go too well for him. But yeah, it's crazy that we're at this point and there still isn't anything. Like, usually by now you'd get a sniff of something that's developing, about to happen, but not a thing yet. And yeah, I would be the same as Terry. I think if the USA tour comes along, then there needs to be somebody in goals for that. Because if it's Scott Bain, obviously Scott Bain can play against United next Friday, so be it. But yeah, the USA tour is actually quite important because, again, it's a good bonding exercise for new signings, and the goalkeeper's such a huge part, such a vital cog in the machine, and that one is quite worrying at this stage that there still is nothing there. And I know a few fans have floated the theory, not necessarily on this pod, but I've seen it on Twitter. There's been a lot of fans have put out there about, the Euros are going on, the player might be at the Euros just now. Well, as I said in the Voice of Us chat today, the boy who's the current top scorer, the Jordan striker, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, he's getting offers and getting bids in just now. Teams are making offers for players that are at the Euros right now, so it's like
West Ham are about to pay £20 million for him.
Yeah,
so
West Ham and I think Monaco as well linked to him. So it's like, so teams are making moves for players at the Euros. So it's not a case of Celtic are waiting because some of their targets are at the Euros just now. No, pounce now. Deals can be done while players are at this tournament. So that isn't a reason for it neither. But it is bizarre that since February the 22nd, which is when Joe Hart put that video out that he was retired, and that's how long it's been. 22nd of February that we've known that Joe Hart was retiring, and here we are still. They say the goalkeeper merry-go-round keeps spinning. Another name comes off of it, then gets back on the merry-go-round, and it spins again. Nothing concrete at all at this stage. It's baffling that we're going this far, and we haven't got one yet.
I know, mate. The links we've got to players now they're about as solid as a soggy bit of Weetabix, mate. They're very. There's nothing in them at all. It's as much as I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel now in terms of trying to get content for the channel, the journalists are scraping the bottom of the barrel as well, because like, all they've got is just like, they're just like, Celtic, give us something. We can't talk about anything. All we have to talk about is Liam Kelly going to Rangers or Hibs signing somebody for this obscure team that nobody really cares about. You know, we've got nothing for in terms of, you know, the big blockbuster articles that will get the hundreds of clicks and that, and shares and likes and all the rest of it that they do necessarily rely on when it comes to getting, you know, their, you know, shekels in terms of their pay and stuff like that when it comes to the transfer windows. But it's really, you know, we've got so much dead wood to shift as well. I mean, like even you know, the Punk Duck Warlords and that chat, he's bringing up, you know, James McCarthy, who's technically still in the books, and what you're saying, is he not supposed to be back training? He's on a holiday now, mate. He's been on a fucking holiday since he put pen to paper, mate. If you didn't call rocking up to training twice a week and getting paid ungodly amounts of money to do that and having no pressure on you to, you know, to actually perform, that's a holiday to me, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, everybody in this chat would give their fucking left bollock to go pull in a Celtic kit and go and play. Do you know what I mean? I would do it for free because we love the club that much. And then you've got people like McCarthy, you know, like your O's, like your Yangs and that, who aren't necessarily performing and who are just happy to pick up a wage as well. And
here's the thing, Conor, though. Here's the thing about McCarthy.
You're going to cut off. You're going to be about Yang there. I was like, if you fucking
no, not Yang. No, see McCarthy.
You dare.
See when McCarthy signed, I actually thought that could have went a lot differently. I thought if this is James McCarthy at his fitness and at his best, he'll do a job for us. And he's a Celtic fan, and he's got the opportunity to sign for Celtic. I wish we'd got him back when he was at Hamilton Accies and the board wouldn't go to £1.5 million for him. If we'd got him then, I think it would have been a completely different story. But what do we actually want these guys to do? Because whenever a player comes in and doesn't stick to his contract and comes in and starts agitating and wanting to move away, supporters jump on their back. Then when somebody comes in and they do stick to their contract, just because they're not making a massive contribution, the supporters then think that player, he should do the right thing. He should fall on the sword and just walk away for free and go get another job. What do you actually want this guy to do? He's come in, he's been offered a contract, he's signed that contract, he's honouring that contract. Why do we think that because he's not making a contribution, he should just get up someday and say, do you know what, Celtic, rip that up. You know, I'm away here. You know, the guy must be getting in. He must be getting in. He must be training. He must be doing what he can. It's just been a real error of judgment on the club's part to bring him in at that stage of his career and give him the deal that we did.
Well, I'm not necessarily arguing McCarthy, because any of us right now would do the exact same thing in his shoes. You were getting paid that amount of money.
We're so fickle, and as fans we're allowed to be fickle, but we're so fickle. If a player comes in and then starts itching to break his contract and leave, we get stuck into him. But if a player is staying to his contract, but we don't like him or don't think he's good enough, we're getting stuck into him as well. You know, you can't win sometimes. McCarthy's never going to make a contribution now. If he was going to make it, it would have been before now. There was maybe one game, I think, where he came on possibly.
It was St Johnstone. It was a game against St Johnstone.
He came on in the later stages just to see it out, just a wee bit like Iwata did. We just got James McCarthy. You know, he's going to be the punchline for so many jokes. We just got him too late because of the injuries he had. He was finished by the time he got to Celtic, and he probably only was late 20s, like, wasn't he? So unfortunate.
I'm more annoyed about the way the club's handled the situation more than anything else. I believe we were offered something for him to go to America. I think last season or something like that. There was rumours.
There was a team that wanted to take him on loan, but we opted not to because they wouldn't pay his full wage. So we just kept him and paid his full wage anyway.
Now, exactly, which is absolutely fucking ludicrous, mate. Because McCarthy could go out there, he could enjoy it, he could have a good life, good lifestyle, getting paid good money in America. he might enjoy that. He might, at the end of the the loan spell, he might say, "I want to move. I want to go to this place. You can sign me. I don't care how much you sell me for. I don't care about bonuses or transfer percentages or whatever. I just want to go to here, go there, and actually play football." Because McCarthy is probably at the level where he could probably still play in the MLS to a certain extent, because it's not exactly the best quality league in the world. Let's be totally honest. I know Messi plays there now. I know Big GG Chaos is ripping it up as well, but he was before he moved to Mexico, but it's not exactly, the shining beacon of, the future of football, is it? So, he could go there and he could probably start. The MLS is a retirement home. Let's be totally honest, for footballers to go and have their swan song, getting good money, to sit in the heat of the Miami beach, and you get paid money for it. So we could have got McCarthy on that loan deal, sold him if he wanted to go there, and then he would be off the wage bill. That's a huge chunk of wages off, because we're already seeing Celtic bringing the same old arguments about wages and paying players wages and all that. Paulo Bernardo being the prime example. So, and when you have all this money, it's absolutely ridiculous. Now, we'll move on to the next topic, being that Celtic could be in for another massive payday, lads, and it is for a player who we all know is basically at the door already. So it's one Matt O'Reilly. And the article from the Daily Record has said that Celtic have set a non-negotiable price tag on Matt O'Reilly, and that being £30 million, which would absolutely destroy the previous transfer set by Jota. Would be doing about like 5 million, 5.5 million over, the transfer record fee. And if this was to go ahead, so teams like Atletico Madrid, Roma are still, interested, want to make a move. However, there has been a new surprise candidate in, the race to sign Matt O'Reilly, and that is Southampton, Phil. So the thing, no, listen to this. Listen to this. I swear to God. Listen to this. The manager, Russell Martin, actually signed Matt O'Reilly for MK Dons.
Right, okay.
So he was actually trying to take Matt O'Reilly from MK Dons to Swansea when he got the Swansea job, right? Matt O'Reilly said no, and he went to Celtic. He was responsible for taking Matt O'Reilly to MK Dons, being a big part of his development, apparently, according to the article. Now, Southampton have just got all that big money for getting promoted to the Premier League, and they are wanting to spend it. The Saints are, according to this article, are in, no way are they wanting to scrimp money on this. They have the money there to spend, and they are willing to spend. They're actually, the Times now have reported that Southampton are actually readying to make a move. How much is in this? I don't know. It could be solid. It could be, soft as baby shit, the link, to be totally honest. But there's something in this, to be totally honest, mate. And if Celtic were to, get this mythical £30 million, what will the excuses be then, mate? Because that by the time that comes around, we will have well over £100 million in the bank, and so far it has been spent on niche, absolutely fuck all. So what if that was to happen in the coming weeks? What do you think would be the excuses that are getting rolled out by old Pistol Pete and his cronies up in the boardroom?
Well, excuses? I needed a few more meters put on my heated driveway, in terms that would be his excuse. But you said a surprise candidate there. Southampton isn't that much of a surprise, because they've pillaged a few of our players over the years when you think about it. So we seem to be a feeder club for them. So when their name came up again, but obviously the links you've read out there's a lot that makes sense. Do I think Celtic will get 30 million if he does go? No, I think it'd be probably around about the same Jota. I mean, 5 million a difference. I think it'll be in the same territory as Jota, which is still a hell of a payday for Celtic regardless. Although you did say that, he's out the door. I don't think so yet. I still think there's a part of Matt O'Reilly that isn't choking to get out the door. I know Celtic obviously will be happy to get a massive payday for him, because that's just how we operate. But I just feel like the player himself, there's something telling me that there's still a chance that we get to the end of the window and Matt O'Reilly might still be here. I just feel like when you look at the way he spoke about his time at the club, especially over the last year, and his interactions with Brendan Rodgers, and just how it seems like compared to under Ange and then under Brendan, the way Matt O'Reilly's conducted himself, it feels like he's really, whatever Brendan's selling, he's buying into. And I think that could be a huge factor, that Matt O'Reilly might still be here. The only thing that's really cast out in my mind is the Denmark situation with the Danish manager saying those things about Scottish football. How much is that going to weigh on him? But I've just this feeling now, compared to a few weeks ago, where I was like, he'll be away. But now it's still like, because there's nothing really concrete circling around Matt O'Reilly. Again, it's all just rumours and whatnot. So there's still a wee bit of me that feels like he might still be here, which would be a huge bonus if that's the case. But yeah, if he does go, I don't think they'll get 30 million, but it will be in excess of 20. Definitely, it would definitely be in excess of that, which is still a massive payday for Celtic. But still cling on to a wee bit of belief there, Conor, that he might still be a Celtic player at the end of the window.
Phil, can I get your opinion on something? Just when we're talking about O'Reilly, and I'm a massive fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his numbers last season were magnificent, and he did it in Europe. He did it at all levels. But do you see Matt O'Reilly as someone who absolutely bosses a midfield? I'm not sure that I do. I see him as someone who influences games and flits in and out of games and is an influence in certain phases. But looking back to some of the chats, that wonderful shows that you and Boise had, and Mark and Boise and Big Liam and Boise, when you were talking about your life supporting Celtic and Under the Bonnet's the title I was looking for. See Matt O'Reilly. Is Matt O'Reilly a midfielder in the same mold as McStay and Collins and those kind of guys? And I might even put McGregor in there. I mean, McGregor, you can name games where McGregor has just taken a game by the scruff of the neck and absolutely bossed them. And even maybe a Callum McGregor that might just be in the first stages of decline. He bossed at least 3 Rangers games this season. Is Matt O'Reilly somebody that can take a game by the scruff of the neck and absolutely dictate it? Or does he just influence in phases? And he absolutely influences in those phases. We're talking about a guy leaving here for the biggest fee that anyone has ever left Celtic. But where is he in the grand scheme of midfielders that we've had? Is he right up there? Or is he just at the next level down? It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to compare. But I don't see him bossing games. Probably the only time I felt he did boss games was when McGregor was out and he moved back into that sort of 6 role. But then that takes away all the creativity and all the deft touches and flicks and all those goals and assists from last year. I mean, I'm taking absolutely nothing away from the guy. But is he on that level of McStay, Collins, McGregor? What's your thoughts on that?
No, he's not in that category. He's definitely he's definitely got a lot of potential, no doubt about it. And I think many clubs in England are very much aware of that, because he was, sought after when he was down there. I think he was on a few clubs' radars, but he left Fulham during the pandemic. I think he got his contract terminated and went to MK Dons. And I think when we signed him, there was talk of a couple of Premier League teams that were looking around him, but obviously we got in there first. He does tick a box for a lot of the English clubs who have got UEFA competitions to play in. I know Southampton don't, but there is that if a team of a higher caliber came in. So he does have that little bit of appeal to him. But is he in terms of, in the upper echelons of Celtic midfielders? No, he's definitely one that provides moments, as you're saying. Like he doesn't influence a full game, but he always comes up with that, game deciding moment.
Think about Lubo, even think about something like Lubo. Yeah. Wee magician and things. Is O'Reilly on that level? No, not at the moment. He's definitely a player that can provide that bit of magic, but the full 90 minutes, no. But again, clubs will pay for that, for a guy that can just turn up and just do that one moment that flips a game. That's all you need sometimes. In terms of his price, to say, I still think it'll be 20-ish million in there, but maybe about the same as Jota at the most. So it's going to be close between him and Jota for the highest transfer fee. But the way football is nowadays, and English clubs especially, if they are interested, if they are coming, then Celtic are within their rights to ask for as much as they can possibly get. But I agree with what you're saying. He's definitely not in the upper echelons of the greatest Celtic midfielders all time. At the moment, though, he's definitely been worth his weight in gold. He's had a worldly of a season, but there's no guarantee that he kicks on. If he stays with us, there's no guarantee that he has as good or a better season again. He's if you think about the season before, he was in and out of the team, and went back to Moy. You didn't really care if Moy and and Aaron Moy on a Zimmer frame was playing ahead of him. You weren't too bothered. he's had the season of all seasons, but you know, there is a scenario where O'Reilly stays and he doesn't hit those heights again next season, and then you're sitting thinking, going, "Oh, we've missed the peak opportunity to get him here. He just had his real purple patch there, and we could have got 25, 30, and then he's a year closer to the end of his contract." Don't know. You just don't know. These are decisions that people have to make. You've got to try and pull together all of those variables and think, you know, what level is this guy at? Is this season that he's just had, is that going to be the best season of his career, or has he got other levels that he can go to?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting question, mate. But see, the thing is, Steve-O was making a good point in the chat. Shout out to Steve-O and his channel, The Celtic World Order. It's good to see you guys doing a bit of content, and again, nice to hear from you. I can agree with Steve-O. Southampton, granted, you know, they're a club which allows you that window, that door into the Premier League, and it's performed relatively well, like, you know, Virgil van Dijk did, you know, and previous other players. You can get a move to like a much bigger club, like it would be like a Man United or a Chelsea or a Man City or an Arsenal, but then that's not always guaranteed, to be totally honest, and considering the level of
If
competition.
you go to Southampton from Celtic, you're pretty much guaranteed to go to Liverpool.
Well,
We're the feeder club Southampton. Southampton a feeder club to Liverpool. That's the way it's been over the years.
I think, but I also think, I mean, you put it this way: you're offered, you know, a chance to go to Atletico Madrid, Roma, or Southampton. You know, chance to go and play in Madrid. You know, massive footballing city, play under one of the best managers in La Liga under Simeone, and you know, there's a potential there that you could win cups, you could perform well in Champions League and stuff like that. And even then, you get a massive payday and potentially go to, I don't know, a Real Madrid, a Barcelona, whoever. That's so hypothetical, by the way. Not fucking saying he's got to Real Madrid or that before anybody clips me, for God's sake, in the comments. But I'm just saying the avenues are there. You know what the Premier League's like? It's a very, you know, I think they're also they're very quick to shoot the gun as well in the Premier League as well. If you're not performing necessarily well enough, they'll just cut you right away. The same thing with managers as well. It's very it's very, you know, quick fire over there. So I don't know, if I was Matt O'Reilly, you'd maybe consider just going to, you know, an Atletico Madrid if the offer's still on the table, or Roma, you know, something like that. Who else was interested? I can't remember the other team that was interested. I think it was maybe Marseille, maybe. I can't even remember, but there's been that many. But you know, it's strange because we're saying that the links were solid, really solid in January when they wanted to leave. The club announced, and Atletico Madrid also confirmed they were in talks with, you know, Celtic to try and sign Matt O'Reilly, and they were refused. And now, you know, it's summer, the transfer windows are open, and there's nothing. There's nothing there. Now, if he stays and continues to perform, I'd be very, very happy with that. But if he was to leave tomorrow, I wouldn't get as upset about it as I did when Jota left. Yeah. Because I think it's totally different. I think Jota, for me, had superstar written over him. Matt O'Reilly, well, still a fantastic, fantastic player who proved everybody wrong when he came in from, you know, a club like MK Dons and has, you know, gotten Champions League man of the matches, absolutely silky smooth player, knows where the back of the net is, and helped us massively to go over the line last season when we were potentially in a bit of a dark pit at some point in the season. He's still not a Jota to me. He's still not that. He's still not got the superstar lights hanging above his head, which are about to be turned on if he got, you know, a big massive move away and he ripped it up. I could be wrong on that. I could be massively wrong, but that's just the vibes that I'm getting, guys. So we'll quash that. That's done. We'll move on now. So the next topic of discussion, and I just mentioned them actually, a wee bit of a interesting article kind of popped up on my feed last night. Jota coming back to Celtic. Is the move potentially on? Celtic face one major stumbling block apparently, as Jota would quote unquote love to return to Celtic now. Before anybody starts commenting, this is a lot of shit. Okay, this is me got my knife out, scraping the bottom of the barrel here to get this content. Okay, guys, I do apologise, but there's only so much we can talk about in terms of, you know, Celtic transfers. But he's saying, Terry, mate, that he would come back. He said that apparently he'd love to come back. He loved his time at Celtic, and he would definitely come back. He is on the way out. He's not been selected for their proverbial squads, you know, because they can only play a certain amount of foreign players that they have signed. for their squads when playing, etc. And he's not been selected for that. So he is potentially out the door, pretty much out the door, because if they're looking to move him on this summer. But the stumbling block apparently would be the wages. And he's obviously on like a massive wage, absolutely gargantuan, fucking silly wage. But as we've seen, do you think that if there is a tiniest little measly crumb of truth in this, Terry, do you think there would be a potential for Jota, if he wanted to just take that massive pay cut to come back here and try and get his career back on track? Or do you think he's going to wait to see what other, sharks are swimming in the water to come and try and snap him up?
No.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for that. Cheers, Terry.
Listen, Conor. If Jota loves Celtic that much, Jota can make that happen. If Jota was offered to Celtic and it fitted within what we can do, then that could happen tomorrow. It's just all bullshit. Forget about it. Move on.
I know. It's very it's annoying, isn't it?
Do you know what? But it's probably. I wouldn't say it's actually impossible, because the Saudi money, they could probably write his contract off tomorrow and just pay him up, and then he's back where he was before he joined Celtic, and it would just be a case of, can he get a deal somewhere else? He's not going to get a better deal somewhere else. He's got an absolutely stupid wage offer, and they could afford to pay him off right now and just say, right, fuck off. There's your wages for the rest of your contract. Away you go, fuck off. But given the levels that you achieve with us, Jota could probably get a contract somewhere for 60, 70, 80 grand a week. Yeah. If he wants to move to Celtic that much, he could make that happen tomorrow. I'd see, when players leave, even though I'm not far off 50, I do still fall in love with Celtic players, right? But I also have a bit more realism. I've been burned too many times. There's been too many relationships where I've ended up in tears and the other party has moved on to greater things. And I'll never cry over a Celtic player again anyway, I'll tell you that. But I would take him back. Of course I would. Any Celtic fan would. Is he better than the wingers that we've got? Yes, he is. We weren't able to replace him. Is he just talking shit? Probably. If he wants to make this deal happen, could he? Yeah, absolutely. He knows what the finances are. If he wants to play for Celtic so much that it's keeping him awake at night, it's the only thing that's on his mind, he can make that happen. So if Jota, if you're watching and you want to make it happen, you go ahead and make it happen, mate. You know what to do. But it's just crap. I once players leave and once managers leave, I have no problem now just wiping them out. Like, and see all this linking us with former players and stuff. And even Ange, like, see, people were talking. There was a big love in when Ange came on the TV and stuff. Honestly, it doesn't even hit me. I don't even feel it one bit. I just look at it and go, "That's just a manager of an EPL team." It means absolutely nothing to me now. Whenever I come to do my under the bonnet, there was weeks, there was months of tears when Frank McCarthy left Celtic, and I was in my last year of primary school, and I just couldn't face a day without Frank McCarthy. But he wants to leave now. They're just completely wiped out from my mind. I don't care anymore. You're nothing to me, and Jota's nothing to me at all. I've not watched 1 minute of any game he's played or not played. I don't want to know what he's doing on social media. Nothing. If he wants to come back, he can make that happen tomorrow. There's no point in any of us wasting emotion on it. There's nothing we could do about that.
Aye, Phil, mate. It's that point. It's that point now. You know, it's the window's been opened, mate, for fucking a wee while now, and we're at this stage, man, where I'm like like Oliver Twist, mate, fucking begging the media for like some transfers and that. I'm at the the Celtic way, banging on the door and like Please, Mr. Lawwell, can we have some more? Please, fuck me. We've got absolutely nothing to talk about, mate. And this is the point where we're at, where I'm literally here, we used to discussing absolutely fanciful rumours and shit that will never happen. You know, it will never happen. It's never going to happen. I don't know why.
I'm okay with nothing. I'm okay with nothing rather than bringing in players who aren't better than what we've got.
Well, that's true. But then,
say we had signed Conor Barron. Say we had signed Conor Barron
right
2 weeks ago. That would have been a player in the door. That would have been Celtic acting fast. That would have been somebody who was linked with us recently. That would have been a player who's been a prominent player with another SPL team, an up-and-coming Scottish talent. Would that have kept you happy? Wouldn't have done it for me.
No, but because it's a player like Conor Barron does nothing for me on paper. A guy who only comes saying Lennon Miller at Motherwell, you know, does something. What's the boy's name? Is it Watson or something?
Watson at Kilmarnock, yeah.
He looks like a good player.
Barron's okay. Barron's okay. Like Barron is not bad.
But okay is not Celtic standard, mate. There is players that they're arguably in the Scottish League who could potentially play for Celtic, like the ones we just mentioned. If we were getting in,
if we said Barron and Liam Kelly, that would be 2 signings. But would you be happy with them?
Well, no, they wouldn't do anything for me, mate. But that's the thing, right? Well, let me ask you a question now, mate. Right? Are you happier now? Are you totally not bothered at all now about there being next to no business getting done? Are you relaxed about it? Are you calm? Are you like because
I'm all right. We've a squad full. We've a squad full of footballers. I want ones that are better than the ones that we've got. Now, see, going back to the thing about the street.
I'm not asking for us to get in any Tom, Dick, and Harry for the street, mate. I'm wanting us to bring in Celtic level fucking players, bigger. Not even Celtic level players, bigger than Celtic, mate. I want us getting in the next generation of fucking superstars to make us, you know, a European club again, who make everybody fears to come to Celtic Park. That's what I want us having again, mate. But there's only so much I can go off of when we're given absolutely nothing. You know, it was the same during the when Angie first came in. I think everybody else was signing players and that, and we were signing nobody. And our first signing of that season, I believe, was that boy Ozasi Urigide. And for some reason,
yes.
And for some reason, I was just like, oh, look at that, I've signed a player. And I just went and done research, and I'm like, he could be all right, by the way, because we just got given nothing, mate. And it's the same, you know, as every other window. I get given absolutely nothing, and I'm that malnourished in terms of getting actual good news about Celtic. The tiniest, you know, crumb of something positive, I usually try and jump on it. And I'm not saying that like there's some people out there involved in Celtic podcast land and that as soon as a player, you know, makes one decent sideways pass, like this player's gonna absolutely rip it up for Celtic this season. Just you watch. I'm not like that. You know, there's some people out there like that. I'm not necessarily one of those guys. But I do try, despite my demeanour, try and be a bit more positive about Celtic, Phil. But the thing I'm trying to say, mate, is just like, what are we really getting given now? When do the proverbial or literal, you know, coming soon enough, pitchforks and torches get marched up the Celtic way in terms of our lack of just anything? There's not even lack of transfers. It's just lacking nothing. Lacking news, lacking momentum. Fucking Rodgers isn't even in the camp now, training anybody. It's John Kennedy.
Yeah, I was going to bring up John Kennedy because you're asking about when. According to John Kennedy, in the interview he did with Sky Sports, he says we've got a lot of plates spinning just now. He used that analogy, and he said that you could expect some movement in the next couple of weeks. Could he just be fobbing us off, just for towing the party line, just throwing something out there? But if he's putting things like that out there, we need to see it through, because you are right, the fans are going to get restless eventually, and a lot of fans are getting very restless right now. It's just purgatory right now in terms of the dealings. I mean, I don't think Celtic are just sitting doing nothing. I do think they're trying to get stuff done. And obviously football and transfers and that is a very convoluted system now. It's not as cut and dry as it used to be back in the day when I was a lot younger. You know, there's a lot of agents involved now. You've got directors of football and heads of recruitment, transfer committees and all that. So it's not just, I mean, there's talk as well that the way it works is most teams make offers to the player first before they've even spoke to the club. My understanding for years and years would have been, sure, you approach the club first to get permission to speak to the player, but as many reports have came out over the last recent years, usually clubs make advances to the player first. So it's not as a simple a system as you would think, but I'd say Celtic, I would imagine, are doing stuff in the background right now, but yeah, just nothing has come quite to fruition at the moment. And yeah, there is going to come a point. I think Terry's analogy about the checkpoints is a great one, especially when that USA trip comes. If there's definitely no one or two in, particularly a goalkeeper, and probably something else for the first team, not a project player, somebody who is a first team ready player, then I think fans will be quite right to be getting restless at that point, Conor.
I mean, look, you need buckle up, boys. He's ready to get, embarrassed in front of the throngs of fans over in America as Man City and Chelsea stick about 10 or 11 past us retrospectively. I mean, it's really, I understand it's a bit of a glamour tie and all the rest of it, and hopefully they start their B teams, which I imagine they will. I doubt they're going to put like Haaland and De Bruyne on against, fucking Stephen Welsh and Liam Scales. I think that'd be a bit of overkill.
You might not see De Bruyne because he's at the Euros, but Haaland wasn't
true.
at the Euros. He'll need some minutes in the legs, so we've got that to look forward to.
Okay, well, Liam, say your prayers, son. Jesus. But yeah, I know, guys. We're at this point in the season, folks, and we're trying to do what we can in terms of trying to give you something to listen to, something to talk about. But I know, as I previously stated, it's not as easy as it seems, and everybody else who's in this game, who does try their hardest to try and talk about something in terms of Celtic, it's we doff your cap, tip your cap to you, for trying to be like us and like everybody else, and we all try and keep the Celtic fans and Celtic family interested and on board and give you something to talk about. But Celtic don't make it easy, do they, lads? So I think for now, that we're going to kind of call it a day. But coming up for the week, obviously you'll have your other shows. I may jump on a carpool, I may not. Phil will be there next week with the Friday Feeling with the Punk Dark. The TNF will be on. I think the Tuesday Club with David will more than likely be on as well. And maybe old Uncle Terry and maybe Pam or, some of your other favourites will jump on for a wee bit of a...
Who's under the bonnet this week,
It might be me, actually. I think it's me. I think it's me, yeah. Right. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. So, yeah, having to follow up, Phil, Mark, and then, the Punk Duck Warlord. I mean, I'll be like going for a night out full of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, going for fucking tea and biscuits for your nana.
Here's the really good thing about that show is everybody's story is different, and whatever supporting Celtic means to you, that's what it means to you. And there's lots of people trying to tell you how you should support Celtic. You should go to every match. You should go to every home game. You should never miss a game. You should do this. You should do that. You do what you want to do, and you support Celtic the way that you want to support them. And whatever that is, that's the right way for you, me, Phil, Boise, whoever. And that's why these stories are really unique for each individual person. Because Celtic means to you what it means to you. And you don't have to support them the way other people support them. It's whatever it means to you.
Try to tell on Twitter that, mate. Fuck me.
I don't even know how to get logged onto Twitter.
Well, mate, you're the better man for it, believe me. But it's like, I agree with the way you're saying that. There's so many people out there who have this massive superiority complex, especially in Celtic Twitter, because they have, the fabled season ticket. I put a thing in the chat last night. That's another year where I'm not going to get my season ticket. I've been on the waiting list for at least 5 years. Obviously,
the players are over the moon. The players are absolutely over the moon. In the dressing room, they're all high-fiving each other.
We can still come to the Celtic Park, man. I know. Did actual wheel me out in a fucking stretcher with a mask on like Hannibal Lecter on the side of the pitch, man.
If guys looking off at half-time because they're going to be on your side in the second half.
I know, they're like, fuck. They're like, look at this shoulder, like, son, Jesus Christ, he's going to come put your earmuffs on, ladies and gentlemen.
Although on the subject, Conor, of the season ticket waiting list, that was interesting to learn that fans are charged to have their name on the waiting list. Well, do you have no shame? My God.
Look, by the way, that's another thing. Think about how many people, how many thousands, potentially millions of people put their name on that book for a season ticket year upon year upon year. Now, it's a tenner ahead. Right, it's a tenner ahead. It's a one-off payment. I mistakenly thought that it was a tenner, like every year you get charged for some reason. I misread the thing wrong when you signed up for it 5 years ago, and I thought I was getting charged a tenner every year. But it's a one-off payment of a tenner. However, That's not just, a tenner here, a tenner there. It's hundreds, thousands, potentially millions of tenors rolling in year upon year upon year upon year. So that's, on top of the rest of the season book money that everybody pays, the 60,000 in Celtic Park, they pay for their season ticket money, on top of the kits, on top of the player transfers, on top of advertising, on top of every other single avenue that Celtic run to get money. Merchandise, fucking cheap shit for China that they slap a Celtic logo onto and shove out the door of the superstore and put it in their Christmas adverts. All these avenues of money are coming in, and we do next to nothing with it. Nothing. There's so much potential there, and that is the saddest thing, I think, in terms of the current crop of the board and what we're getting in terms of players and stuff like that. There's such potential there to take Celtic to this next level, and they're just squandering it. They're just happy to just scud Rangers every year and win a treble, every now and again, a double at least. It's like, well, we're not even necessarily spending all that money, right? And we're still mired in success. Like, undoubtedly the best team in the country, and probably will be for the rest of our lifetimes. Let's be quite frank on that. There's nobody necessarily going to challenge us realistically unless, the Huns were to get a massive injection of cash from somewhere, which I don't know who the hell they would get it from. We are in another stratosphere compared to the rest of the teams in the league. And yet that's without spending the money that we have in the bank to take us to the next level. Could you imagine what we could be if we were to spend the extra bit here or there? Terry, Phil, take it away, lads. What do you think?
I've said before, we've got so much potential there. The infrastructure's there to be a big club and behave like a big club, but we don't. We just don't. I find it interesting. A year ago, Brendan saying one of the things he wanted to do coming back was to make some sort of landmark statement in Europe. But now we find ourselves between a bit of a rock and a hard place in this new Champions League format because there's no drop downs to the Europa League anymore. I think we would have had a crack at doing something in the Europa League, and the only option now to get into that competition is to lose the title, which isn't an option. So I think maybe in the next couple of years the coefficient will probably drop for Scotland, and maybe if there's drop downs from the qualifiers, if you're in the Champions League qualifiers, you might be able to drop down, but I can't see us doing anything in this new Champions League format. It's again designed, UEFA are basically gaslighting everyone by saying, it's a revolutionary new thing. It's still designed to benefit the top teams. You're still going to get Real Madrid's, Bayern Munich's, Man City's and that. It's only going to be the same teams that are going to get down to the nitty-gritty stage. So Celtic aren't really... They might take a couple of wins here and there off of the, a couple of scalps in this league format. But ultimately, if you still end up finishing, say, 25th in the 36-team league, you're not going through to the next round anyway. So what was it for? Maybe getting like a wee sneaky win over like a Barcelona or something again. We could put a DVD out about it. Peter Law will be happy about that. We'll stick a DVD on the shelf.
That's what I said last week. I said, could you imagine we beat a Manchester United, a Man City, a Barcelona, Real Madrid? It'd make DVDs of it. It'd be like, they'd be celebrating it. We'd be doing a Rangers and putting like the journey to, the win at Old Trafford or whatever. That's what they would put out. It would be absolutely like nonsense stuff, and all the stuff of legends and all this absolute shite that we get fed. That
Peter gets to blame. Peter gets to blame for everything. Kyogo misses an open net. Fucking low alive.
It's all his fault. Indeed.
I know, mate. But Terry, mate, do you think that like Celtic are squandering this chance to really revolutionise the club, or do you think there's potentially something else that all this money's going to go towards eventually? Like, what do you think is what do you perceive as the potential game plan that Celtic have in terms of going forward, mate?
I do think there's something coming up that a few million would be required for, but not anything that's going to make an awful dent in that massive war chest for topical transfer type jargon. I said to you, Conor, I think it was the last day you and me and Pam were on. I genuinely think we'll do 10 in a row from here. I think we will. I think everything's in place for it. We just missed it the last time. I think the way Rangers reacted will have resonated with Mr. Desmond. I would imagine that getting that 10 in a row is maybe something that he would like to see in the remaining years that he's got on this earth. Everything's in place to make that happen. if the powers that be want us to dominate for the next 7 years and win that league, everything is there to make that happen. There's nothing can really stop that other than what Celtic do, and what Celtic have always done is just dither and dally and never kick on from a position of strength and measure where we're at against the second biggest club in Glasgow. And what really resonated the other night from Mark and Boyce's chat was Martin O'Neill opened everyone's eyes to what Celtic could be if you just forgot about Rangers and concentrated on Celtic with that run to Seville, with that going and bringing up players from England who could have gone to other English teams, but Celtic went and made that happen. And despite the fact that there's still a massive financial disparity, we're in such a strong position financially. We could still go and do that. We could still go and get a level of player who would ensure that we win this league for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and ultimately 7 and 10 seasons. And my gut feel is I think we might do it. I'll be cut and I'll be played next year whenever Rangers will be put back. I'll be put back in my box again. But everything's there for that to happen. We just need to make sure that the people who are ticking the boxes and signing off the invoices, everyone's on the same page as the manager and the supporters and all of that. And that again, I'm dreamy. This is the type of year or the time of the season when you get dreamy and you think about what could be. And do you know what? Could be sitting here in 2 months going, we've just been sucked in again. It's the same old. We've brought in fucking 5 projects where we haven't replaced the 3 players, Bernardo, Ida, Hart, and we're just going, what's the point? But you've just got to hold on to the hope that something will change. It will not be the same. It'll be different, and we'll not be comfortable being the biggest fish in the smallest pond. And the new Champions League, I am a little bit intrigued by it. I am a little bit excited by it because it can't be any worse for us than the previous version, because we were never going to get out of a group ever. We were never ever going to get out of a group of 4 in the top 2 spaces. That just never going to happen. So this new format gives us a chance. There's how many teams are in it? 32?
36 and 20. The top 24 at the end of that section go through to the knockout stages. But yeah, if we finish 25th to 30th, you're completely out. You don't drop down to the Europa. You're just out. So
the only thing is then you're at least guaranteed to play another pot 4 team. So at least you've got an opportunity against a team that you've got a reasonable chance against. It'll be a team with probably less finances than us. In fact, definitely less finances than us. Does that mean we automatically beat them? No, because there's a whole list of teams: Copenhagen, Midtjylland, AEK Athens, Frank Varos, the list goes on. We tend not to beat those teams either. But at least there will be one of those teams that we will get an opportunity to play against home and away. And if we finish 24th, brilliant.
Made it through.
Let's do that and let's build from there. But let's stop measuring ourselves against the team across the road. Let's stop measuring our garden against our next door neighbours. Let's stop measuring our driveway against the driveway across the road. Let's think about how can we make our house the best place that it can possibly be.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think we'll end on that note, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have enjoyed. Big thanks to Terry and for Phil for joining me. I don't know if you noticed, but I finally got the intro nailed down. Big thanks to Phil for coaching me on that. I bet you were all very surprised. You're like, oh, I'm not just met with Conor's faces. It just went live. Now everybody looks absolutely discombobulated as to why it's all of a sudden just went bang, you're live. But yeah, we've managed to sort it out. So from here on out, I'll actually be able to do my job properly. Very thanks, guys. So thank you for joining me today, guys. Please don't forget you can like, share, subscribe, become a Boys to Bus member if you so wish, and use the code BUS1888 in the piesports.com website at the checkout if you want to get 12.5% off your orders. So many thanks, guys, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye bye.
Right, thanks a lot, guys.